Welcome to Lesson 10 of Week 12, focusing on handling rejection. This lesson addresses the emotional dimension of grant seeking that professional training often neglects. Rejection is an inevitable part of grant seeking. Even the most accomplished professionals experience rejection regularly. Funding rates at competitive funders often fall below 20%, meaning most proposals are not funded regardless of their quality. Learning to handle rejection constructively is essential for long-term success and personal well-being in this field. This lesson takes rejection seriously as a topic worthy of direct attention. We will examine why rejection affects us the way it does, how to process the emotional impact productively, how to maintain perspective and resilience, and how to use rejection experiences to fuel future success. These are not soft skills peripheral to grant writing. They are core competencies for sustainable practice. By the end of this lesson, you will have frameworks and strategies for handling rejection that protect your well-being while positioning you for continued growth and eventual success. Understanding the reality of rejection helps normalize an experience that can feel isolating. Rejection is ubiquitous in grant seeking. Statistical inevitability means most proposals are not funded at competitive funders. When funding rates are 15 or 20%, 80 to 85% of applications are declined regardless of their quality. Strong proposals regularly go unfunded due to resource constraints. This mathematical reality means rejection is normal, not exceptional. Universal experience confirms that every successful grant professional has been rejected, often many times. The accomplished researchers and development officers you admire have files full of unfunded proposals. Their success came not from avoiding rejection, but from persisting through it. Knowing this reality helps you avoid feeling uniquely flawed when rejection occurs. Not exceptional means your rejections do not make you unusual among grant professionals. If you have been rejected, you are in the company of virtually everyone who has ever sought grants. Rejection does not mark you as different or deficient. It marks you as a participant in a competitive process where rejection is common. Part of the process reframes rejection as a step toward success rather than a dead end. Each rejection teaches lessons, provides feedback, and builds experience that contributes to eventual success. The path to funded proposals runs through unfunded ones. Rejection is not a detour from success. It is part of the journey. Understanding why rejection hurts helps you respond to that pain appropriately. The hurt is real and has legitimate sources. Investment explains part of why rejection stings. You put significant time and effort into your proposal, often weeks or months of intensive work. Having that investment not pay off is genuinely disappointing. The more you invested, the more rejection hurts. This is a normal response to loss. Personal identification deepens the impact because your work feels like an extension of yourself. Proposals reflect your ideas, your vision, your professional judgment. When a proposal is rejected, it can feel like you are being rejected. This identification of self with work, while understandable, intensifies rejection's emotional impact. Hope contributed to the hurt because you genuinely wanted and expected to succeed. You would not have submitted without believing success was possible. That hope made rejection more painful than if you had expected to fail. Hope is necessary for motivation. Its disappointment is part of the price. Consequences matter because unfunding affects your work and possibly your livelihood. Grants support projects you want to pursue, staff you want to employ, communities you want to serve. Rejection has real-world implications beyond emotional impact. These consequences make rejection more than abstract disappointment. Separating your sense of self from your proposal is essential for healthy response to rejection. This separation protects your well-being. Proposal failed, not you makes a crucial distinction. The proposal was unsuccessful in this competition. That does not mean you are unsuccessful as a professional or person. Proposals can fail for many reasons, most of which reflect situation and competition rather than fundamental deficiency. You remain capable regardless of this outcome. Conditional assessment recognizes that reviewers evaluated a document in a specific context, not your worth as a human being. Their assessment was conditioned on what you submitted, when you submitted it, who else submitted, and what criteria applied. Different conditions might have produced different results. Review outcomes are not absolute judgments of your value. Context-dependent results reflect a specific competition at a specific time with specific competitors. Your proposal might have been funded in a different cycle with different competitors or different funding availability. The outcome says something about this particular competition, not something universal about your work. Capability remains because your abilities persist regardless of this outcome. The skills that produced this proposal exist for future proposals. The knowledge you have, the relationships you have built, and the expertise you possess did not disappear with this rejection. You remain the capable professional you were before the outcome arrived. Processing the emotional impact of rejection requires intentional strategies. Rushing past emotions without processing them is counterproductive. Allow feelings rather than suppressing disappointment or frustration. These emotions are natural responses to setback. Suppression does not eliminate feelings, it delays and distorts them. Acknowledge what you feel without judgment. Being disappointed is not weakness, it is humanity. Time buffer means giving yourself space before attempting analysis or next steps. The day you receive rejection is not the day to decide your strategic response. Let the immediate emotional reaction settle before you try to think clearly about what to do. A day or a week between news and analysis improves both emotional processing and decision quality. Support seeking means talking with people who understand and care. Share your disappointment with trusted colleagues, mentors, friends, or family. People who have experienced rejection themselves can offer perspective and solidarity. You do not have to process rejection alone. Self-compassion treats yourself as you would treat a colleague in the same situation. You would not berate a colleague for receiving a rejection. You would offer understanding, perspective, and encouragement. Extend the same compassion to yourself. Self-criticism does not improve outcomes, it just adds suffering. Maintaining perspective prevents rejection from looming larger than it should. These perspective-keeping strategies help you see rejection accurately. One outcome recognizes this is a single result in a career containing many opportunities. Your career involves dozens or hundreds of proposals over time. One rejection, even a painful one, is a small fraction of your total professional experience. Avoid letting one outcome feel like your entire career. Competition realities acknowledge that many strong proposals are not funded due to resource constraints and competitive dynamics. Your rejection does not necessarily mean your proposal was weak. It may mean strong proposals competed against even stronger ones, or priorities shifted, or funding was limited. Rejection is information about competition outcome, not necessarily about proposal quality. Temporary state reminds you that this disappointment will pass and your career continues. The acute pain of rejection fades with time. What feels overwhelming today will feel less so in weeks or months. The temporary nature of emotional impact should inform how much you let it affect you. Broader identity recognizes you are more than your grant outcomes. Your professional identity includes many dimensions beyond grant success. Your personal identity extends far beyond professional achievements. A rejection affects one part of a multifaceted life and does not define your whole existence. Certain unhelpful patterns can intensify rejection's impact. Recognizing these patterns helps you avoid them. Catastrophizing turns one rejection into evidence of comprehensive failure. A single unfunded proposal becomes proof that you are a terrible grant writer, will never succeed, or should leave the field. This pattern takes limited information and expands it into global conclusions. One rejection is one data point, not comprehensive judgment. Rumination means replaying the rejection repeatedly without progress, going over and over what happened, what you should have done differently, and how unfair it was keeps you stuck in negative experience without moving forward. Some reflection is valuable. Endless rumination is harmful. Set limits on how much you will dwell on rejection. Comparison measures yourself against others' apparent successes. Colleagues seem to win grants you do not, making you feel inadequate, but you see their successes without seeing their rejections. Comparison against incomplete information generates misleading conclusions. Focus on your own growth rather than ranking against others. Isolation withdraws you from support systems when you need them most. The impulse to hide rejection from others intensifies shame and eliminates support. Connection with others who understand helps you process rejection more healthily. Resist the urge to isolate. Resilience to rejection can be developed deliberately. These strategies build your capacity to handle setbacks constructively. Exposure to rejection builds tolerance over time. The first rejection often feels devastating. The 10th feels less so. Not because you care less, but because experience teaches you that rejection is survivable and not as comprehensive as it initially seems. Each rejection you navigate builds capacity for future ones. Success memory balances current setback by remembering past successes. You have achieved things, overcome challenges, and contributed value. This rejection does not erase your achievements. When rejection threatens to overwhelm perspective, deliberately recall accomplishments that demonstrate your capability. Growth mindset views rejection as learning opportunity rather than verdict on your abilities. Rejection provides feedback that can improve future proposals. If you approach rejection curious about what you can learn, it becomes useful information rather than pure loss. The mindset you bring to rejection shapes its impact on you. Long-term view focuses on trajectory rather than individual outcomes. Career success is determined by patterns over time, not single events. A career with consistent effort, learning from feedback, and gradual improvement will yield success regardless of any particular rejection. Keep your eyes on the long-term path. Rejection experiences contain value that productive response can extract. Finding value in rejection transforms loss into investment. Feedback Treasure recognizes that reviewer comments provide valuable expert critique you would otherwise have to pay for. These experts read your work carefully and articulated their assessments. The feedback illuminates how your proposal was perceived and where improvement is needed. This information is valuable regardless of funding outcome. Skill development comes from analyzing feedback systematically, working through what reviewers said, why they might have said it, and how you could address their concerns builds your grant development expertise. Each rejection you analyze thoroughly makes you a better grant writer. The analytical process itself has value. Idea refinement occurs when rejection prompts improvement of your concept. Sometimes feedback reveals genuine weaknesses in your thinking that improvement requires you to address. A stronger project may emerge from the refinement process that rejection initiated. The rejected version enables the improved version. Determination fuel converts disappointment into motivation for renewed effort. Many successful grant professionals describe rejection experiences that fueled their determination to succeed. The energy of disappointment, channeled productively, can drive the effort needed for eventual success. Communicating about rejection to others requires thoughtful approach. How you discuss rejection affects both your relationships and your own processing. Internal stakeholders need to know about rejection results. Team members, supervisors, and relevant administrators should be informed professionally. Delayed or hidden communication creates problems when information eventually emerges. Prompt, professional notification demonstrates accountability. No shame should attach to rejection in your communications. Rejection is normal in competitive grant seeking and need not be hidden or minimized. Treating rejection as shameful intensifies its emotional impact and suggests it reflects poorly on you. Professional acknowledgement treats rejection as a routine part of the work. Learning Frame presents rejection as information to use rather than failure to dwell on. Communicate what you learned from feedback, what the rejection suggests about next steps, and how you will use the experience productively. This framing models healthy response for others and reinforces it for yourself. Forward focus emphasizes what comes next rather than what happened. While acknowledging the outcome, direct attention toward future actions. Will you revise and resubmit, pursue different funders, develop the project further? Forward focus communicates continued commitment and productive response. Organizational culture significantly affects how individuals experience and respond to rejection. Healthy cultures support resilience. Safe environment means organizations should normalize rejection discussion. When rejection can be discussed openly without stigma, individuals process it more healthily and organizations learn more effectively. Cultures where rejection must be hidden intensify shame and prevent learning. Learning systems capture insights from unsuccessful proposals for organizational benefit. Debriefing rejected proposals, documenting lessons learned, and sharing feedback across team members multiplies the value of rejection experiences. What one person learned can help others improve. Support structures enable colleagues helping colleagues through setbacks. Mentorship relationships, peer support, and collaborative processing help individuals navigate rejection more effectively than struggling alone. Organizations can deliberately build these support structures. Celebration Balance celebrates success without stigmatizing failure. Recognizing funded proposals is appropriate and motivating. However, exclusive focus on success can make unfunded proposals feel shameful by comparison. Healthy cultures acknowledge the difficulty of competitive grant seeking and value effort regardless of outcome. When rejection accumulates over multiple attempts, different considerations apply. Persistent rejection requires different response than occasional setbacks. Pattern attention recognizes that repeated rejection may signal need for adjustment. While individual rejections may reflect competition dynamics, consistent rejection across multiple attempts suggests your approach may need revision. Patterns deserve investigation that single occurrences do not. External input from mentors, experienced colleagues, or consultants provides perspective you may lack. When you have been working on something repeatedly without success, outside viewpoint can identify issues you cannot see. Seek feedback from people with relevant expertise and no stake in validating your current approach. Strategy review considers whether your fundamental approach needs change. Perhaps the project concept is not viable. Perhaps you are targeting wrong funders. Perhaps your proposal development process has systematic weaknesses. Persistent rejection warrants honest examination of whether course correction is needed. Well-being priority protects your mental health through difficult stretches. Accumulated rejection takes emotional toll that requires deliberate attention. Ensure you are maintaining healthy practices, seeking support, and not letting grant outcomes overwhelm other sources of satisfaction and meaning. Persistence plays a crucial role in grant success. Understanding the right kind of persistence helps you sustain productive effort. Essential Ingredient recognizes that persistence is necessary for grant success. Most grant professionals who achieve significant funding success did so through sustained effort over time, including navigating rejections along the way. Without persistence, you cannot accumulate the experience and track record that eventually produces success. Informed persistence means persisting intelligently rather than blindly. Simply submitting the same unsuccessful proposal repeatedly is not productive persistence. Persistence should incorporate learning from feedback, adaptation to changing circumstances, and improvement over time. Persist with purpose and reflection. Adjusted approaches combine persistence with learning and adaptation. The goal is not to keep doing the same thing, but to keep working toward your goals while adjusting methods based on experience. Persistence and learning together produce improvement that eventually yields success. Long-game perspective recognizes that success often requires sustained effort over years. Building a successful grant portfolio takes time. Early career professionals should expect a development period before achieving consistent success. Patience combined with persistent effort serves long-term success better than expecting immediate results. Finding meaning in grant work beyond funding outcomes provides sustainable motivation and protects against rejection's impact. Proposal value recognizes that the work of developing proposals has intrinsic worth apart from funding outcomes. The thinking, planning, and writing you did contributed to your professional development. The proposal development process itself has value even when funding does not result. Knowledge generated during proposal development persists regardless of funding outcome. You learned about your field, your project concept, funder priorities, and grant writing itself. This knowledge serves future efforts. Rejection does not erase what you learned creating the proposal. Relationships built during proposal development continue. Partnerships formed, connections with program officers established, and collaborations initiated through proposal development remain valuable. These relationships may support future proposals or other professional opportunities. Capability grown through proposal development transfers to future efforts. The skills you built writing this proposal make you better at writing future proposals. The research capabilities, writing abilities, and project management skills you developed serve you regardless of this particular outcome. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson on handling rejection. Rejection is inevitable in competitive grant seeking and manageable with the right approaches. Every successful grant professional experiences rejection regularly. Your rejections do not make you unusual or deficient. They make you a participant in a competitive process where rejection is normal. Healthy response to rejection involves processing emotions appropriately, maintaining perspective on what rejection means and does not mean, and extracting value from the feedback and experience. These responses protect your well-being while positioning you for future success. Resilience building develops your capacity to handle rejection constructively. Experience with rejection builds tolerance. Growth mindset transforms rejection into learning opportunity, and support from others helps you navigate setbacks. Resilience is a capability you can deliberately develop. In our next and final lesson of this week, we cover AI tools for red team review. You will learn how to use artificial intelligence to simulate peer review, identify proposal weaknesses, and strengthen your submissions before they face actual reviewers. Practice exercise. Reflect on a rejection you have experienced, whether in grant seeking or elsewhere in life. How did you respond initially? What would you do differently now with the frameworks from this lesson? What value can you identify in that rejection experience looking back?